Welcome to Parents Make a Difference. I am your host, Josie PV. I love to surround myself with stories of people who overcome and have victory in their lives. Today's guest has gone through many things that should have held her back, but the voice of her mother kept her pushing through whatever came her way. She shares she was homeless, abused, and has had success in a career not many women are in. What words could be that powerful? I'd like to welcome Hilary Sandiford to Parents Make a Difference.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to having you share your story with the parents that are listening.
Well, I started out in the criminal justice field at a very young age and got into corporate government and then later became into entrepreneurship. But when it came to me being raised by an amazing woman, we came to this country when I was in my youth. And very shortly after we came, a few years later, unfortunately, she passed away. But it was during that time with my mom that I was able to learn different methods that basically saved my life throughout my adulthood.
That's very difficult to lose a mother at a very young age. How old were you?
From my memory, because I kind of block a lot of things out, I think I was 14 or 15. I tend to remember a lot of what she said, her wisdom. It just sticks with me. It was something. My mom passed away in my arms.
Oh my goodness.
We went on vacation and she was acting really weird on the way down. And we went to Barbados on vacation to see her family. And 4 days after my birthday, I was born on Christmas Eve. She just wanted me to sit in a particular chair and she wanted to watch me. And I sat there for a good 3 hours. And then after 3 hours, she said, okay. And she said, okay, you can sit on the floor now. And, said, everything will be okay. And she said, you will be okay. I'm so proud of you. You will be okay. I found that really strange. And I remember asking her, did you want me to get you to the hospital or do you want a doctor? And she said no. And I know she was stressful. She was stressed because I'm an advocate for stress relief because I know that my mom died from stress.
Really?
And yeah, she died and the doctor confirmed that she was under a lot of pressure and stress and that's what killed her. She took her at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And I tried my best. I did CPR on her and mouth to mouth and everything, but I couldn't save her. Wow. And yeah, so that I carried that guilt around for many years. When I returned to Canada, I didn't really have anywhere to go. So that's how I ended up homeless. And, I struggled to get back on my feet for a very long time. And, I'll say this is that when I was younger, I had a lot of situations where I was made to feel as though I wasn't worth anything. And although my mom and my grandmother, they both advocated how amazing I was and how strong I was and how, great I was and smart. And it wasn't enough voices. And that absent voice of my father telling me I was good enough was absent. Although he was present, it was still absent. And so I didn't have that. And so I searched for that for a very long time. But going through those struggles of homelessness led to different things like abuse and physical and sexual abuse. And it opened up a door to people to come into my life that shouldn't be there. But I still had that part of me that I would hear my mom's voice saying that I was going to be okay. I would still hear that all the time.
When she passed, just like when she was her last moments that she was with you. Was that the first time she said you'll be okay, or did she used to say that?
Yes, that was the first time she ever said to me, "You will be okay. I am so proud of you." That was she never said to me before that she was proud of me. She would just advocate it by her actions. She was always hugging me and and said, wow, that's amazing, or something like that. But she never used those words. And those words radiate in my mind. They're like stains on my brain. And I, anytime I would have a struggle, anytime, whatever it was, when I was alone or whatever, I would hear her voice and it would say, you will be okay. In my darkest moments, I hear her voice saying, you will be okay. It's all right. And I would use that. I would use that as a power to get me off, get up, like stand up and do something, find a solution, work harder. I got myself from homelessness to where I am now, where it's like I've raised two amazing boys, these men, I should say. I always call them boys.
How old are they now?
They're 19 going 20 and 22 going 23. And I still call them boys. I still have them on my phone. But when I was raising them, I didn't have a mom per se. I had my godmom who had reached, she was the one that kind of took over my mom's role, but she lives in the US. I'm here. And one thing I did was I started reading a lot of books about how to parent, because I find it very interesting that we would spend so much time learning to drive, and oh my gosh, I'm going to make sure I know this and I know this single, I know this particular sign and blah, blah, blah. But we will not take enough time to read a book and figure out how to be a parent. And you'll never get it right.
Yes, there's no manual that says this is the way to do it, because every child's different anyways. Exactly. But it's great hearing from stories. That's how we learn, right?
Yeah, that's how we learn. It's guidance, because I believe, in something called conditioning. And Dr. Phil said it the best way. He said, whatever, a child is like a chalkboard. Whatever you put on it is what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that, hearing that piece, and me working in the criminal justice field, where people have said to me, my mom said this to me, or my dad said this to me, or someone said something to me, I didn't feel like I was worth whatever. I used all that information, my experiences, my mom telling me I was going to be okay. And I started reading a lot of books, and in reading that, it guided me to raise my children based on certain things. For example, listening to them more than what I wanted, So all those struggles and her voice, radiated to where I am now. I still use it. I still use it in my everyday life. If I have a situation where I'm stressed about, and I try not to ever get too stressed, because stress does kill. And my mom is an example of that. What I do is I sit for a moment, I hear the voice, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right, Mom. I will be okay. Let's take a minute. And I start to analyze things. I start to break it down, analyze, research, and I'm like, Mom, thanks. And I go on with my day, yes. And it really does work. And so I say to parents, be careful what you say to your child. Be very, very careful. If your son is writing on the walls, do not tell him don't write on the wall. Tell him what to do. So what I did with my son when he was writing on the walls, because I was renting a basement apartment at the time, it's like, oh my gosh.
You don't want him to write on those walls. Yeah.
Exactly. I went to Home Depot and I got chalkboard paint, and I painted the wall of that particular wall. And I said to him, you can do it on this one. And so that was his canvas, and he got into animation at Sheridan, and he chose
wonderful
a different path, but he still uses it to today. Today he wants to be calm. He goes and draw. So we have to be very, very careful what we say to our children. Children take everything very literally, and they walk away with that guilt if you're not careful.
They do. And sometimes we can say, oh, well, I really didn't mean it. But you know what? Yeah. That child, it will resonate in their mind. And yes. It could be something you don't even remember saying. Exactly. So it is so important to pay attention. And I too had learned, it was interesting that you mentioned that you worked with the criminal justice, and you heard that parents had said to these people that were incarcerated that their parents said something to them that not sent them there, but probably resonated with them, that they, like, I know sometimes if you say, be careful, you're going to be in jail. You're going to go to jail if you keep doing that. You're going to go to jail. And so I remember reading that because I too was passionate about how am I going to help my kids? how
Hmm.
am I, and I have 5 boys, and it was like, how am I going to help these kids thrive and live the life I wanted for them? And
Hmm.
I remember that comment that's what a lot of people there, that's what they heard. You're going to
Yes.
go to jail. Now, do you think that parent was really wanting to send them in that
No.
direction? She was trying, or he was trying to put fear in them so
Hearing
that
them.
they wouldn't go there, not knowing that those words
Yes.
were like, I am going to go to jail. One day I'm going to go to jail. Like it just constantly keeps going.
And another thing that we do is we'll say something like, "You're such a bad boy,"
Yes,
and that to a child is a literal fact. And so when you say, "I'm a bad boy," so that's the only way I will get your attention. Okay, no problem. Noted, mom. I will be the bad boy, and
that's
they
right.
do it.
They do.
So be very careful.
I mentioned some of these things in my book called Parents Make a Difference. So we're definitely on the same the same page on some of the things we've learned um,
Yes.
through other people's stories and psychologists and so forth. But
Mhm.
I know in my household, you're not allowed to say you're a bad child,
No.
and even as a teacher, I don't say you're a bad child, and I try to teach the parents that if you say they're bad, they can't change that because that's who they are. But if you
Yes.
say the behavior is bad, they can change that. So,
Exactly.
and that means I can change it when I choose to.
I said to my kids, there's two different strategies I did for raising my children. Well, three. One was tracking them from inside my stomach. Like I would do their agenda because they had a time of being awake, and I would like, okay, if he's awake at this particular time, then that's the time he's awake. I'll make sure I'm awake that time and go with that schedule. It made my life so much easier. Oh my gosh. I never had to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed from. No, I follow his schedule, both of them. And so I knew that my youngest was going to be early to bed, early to rise, and the oldest one was, I'm not going to bed. Good luck. So I realized, but at 2:15 he had to go to the restroom because that's when he was really restless, and I was like, okay, so that's his pee time. So I tracked everything, but that was one strategy that I used. Another strategy I used, I told you about the looking in the mirror and having them speak to themselves, positive talks to themselves. I did that because I wanted them to realize too that I do make mistakes. So one thing I do with my children is a check-in. Every Friday, I check in and I say, so what is it do I need to change as a parent to make you feel better? What have I done to make you feel a certain way? Am I doing a good job? Just a check in, because you might think you're doing great and
Yes.
your kid is going, wow, mom is so this or dad is so that. You just want to check in to see what you can do to improve your parenting skills and be okay with not being right all the time and
Hmm.
making mistakes. And what that does with the child is it shows them that, wow, mom is human or dad is human. Two, we all make mistakes and we all should learn lessons from them. So you're actually teaching your child at the same time as having that connector with them and allowing them to be people in that particular moment. Third thing that I do with my children is this, is that I need them to not tell me they had a good day. Tell me what the day was about. Because every time you say to a kid, how was your day? Good.
Mm.
No, I don't. Great. I'm glad you had a great day or a good day, but tell me it. So before they even say the word good, I say, so tell me what was good about your day today.
But the
you
good
know?
thing is that you still direct them in a
Hmm.
positive way, because sometimes if you have them tell you everything that was wrong about the day, and not to say that it's to not focus on what was wrong, because yes, we need to communicate, but
Yes.
sometimes they just keep spiraling down, 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 and they'll tell you
Yeah.
everything that went
Everything.
wrong, and they won't be able to find not even one thing that
Yeah.
was right, right?
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, when I'm finished that conversation and they tell me about what was good in the day and whatever, right at the end I said, so did anything happen today that you want to talk about that it's uncomfortable or you didn't like or made you feel a certain way? And then
Mm-hmm.
that's when that part comes out and they tell me about, oh, can you believe they did this or did that? And I'm like, okay, but that's how I keep in connection with my boys. my men, sorry.
It's great that you're leaving communication open, because even when you said like that you asked them, okay, is there something that I did?
Yeah,
I don't see you as trying to say, hey, I'm trying to please you, because I mean, pleasing our kids
no,
is not going to be, it's not
no,
something that we should do at the end. But I see
no,
you leaving communication open to say, you know what, we we both think differently. My
yeah,
perception of what's going on is one way, but I might be wrong. I'm
right.
open to hearing your point of view so that we can work together on whatever
Mhm.
if we need to. If we
Yes.
don't and we're doing well, great. Because it's great to see that, because there's I had an aha moment years ago
Hmm.
uh, from a book called The Five Love Languages.
Oh yeah.
And did, have you read that one?
Yes, I have.
And that was talking about different love languages that we
Yep.
speak, and we don't always speak the same one. So I'm thinking I'm
Exactly.
showing I love you, I'm appreciating
Yes.
you, and you're thinking she doesn't even love me, because we're
Yes.
speaking two different languages. And so you're at least keeping the communication open to say,
Hmm.
okay, I might not be giving you what you need. I think I am,
Right.
but I don't know for sure. So unless I get feedback from you. So that's wonderful that you keep the communication open, because that's how we move in a good direction, when we are able to
Yes.
move through things, talk through things,
Yes.
communicate through things, instead of putting it under a rug and
Yes.
pretending it's not there, right?
Yeah, because when you open that channel of communication at such a young age, especially when something traumatic does happen for that child, they can trust that they can come to you and have those conversations with you, and you will not judge them. So that's why I did it. So my boys tell me everything, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to know, but they tell me anyway, and I respect that, the fact that they want to share. So I listen, and they're very open, and I'm very blessed to have them as my children. And I tell them every day, I'm blessed to be your mom. I really am. I'm amazed by them every day.
I love hearing that. And you've also, through those words from your mother, you've
Hmm.
propelled yourself, or you pushed yourself into a field
Yeah,
that you probably never expected you'd be in. If you can
yeah,
share where you are now with that help of your mother's voice, just encouraging you and saying, you're
yeah.
going to be okay, you can do this, right?
Well, yeah. So 2 years ago, I went from corporate government and I got into supply chain, the supply chain industry, and I started out researching, a lot about it. How can, what attracted me was the entrepreneurship. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I love the entrepreneurship. I've done event planning. I did well in that, but it still was something missing, and I just love the different challenges that it brings to you. And I was always like, as a child, I was always looking for something strategic and trying to figure out things and analyze things. So 2 years ago, I had a conversation with my mom, and I said, I really want to try this, but I'm so scared. And that voice came again with the "You'll be okay. I'm so proud of you. Don't worry, you'll be okay." And I say, you know what, Hillary? I had a conversation with my boys, because at the end of the day, they're still part of my family, and my everything that I do affects them. And so I had a conversation with them, and I said, listen, I would really love to move into this field, but we have to suffer for a little bit. And the boys looked at me and said, whatever makes you happy, mom, we'll support you. And so I got into the trucking industry. I started out, I went and got my licensing, everything. I wanted to experience more. I did a little bit with my brother before, here and there in the 5 tons, but I wanted a little bit more on hands-on. And so I started doing cross country, went to Montana, California, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi. I was everywhere.
Mhm.
And I love it. And then I was like, what else is in this industry? And I started really researching, and I said, oh, I want to really venture out more into the management side. So I'm it's in the infancy stage, but now I'm moving towards getting to the brokerage part of it, so that I have a full trucking company. So I do have a transportation trucking company, and
Wonderful.
I'm starting to do well. I'm still looking for more partnerships, per se, but
Mhm.
I'm very open and excited. I wake up every morning, I jump on my boys like I always do, and I'm just excited about life, excited about what's next. Every day is something different when it comes to this industry. So it meets that part of me, that passion part of me that loves excitement, that loves challenges. And and every time I have a struggle, mom's voice is like, you'll be okay.
That's right. And she propelled you to excel in this field also, and
Yeah.
to be willing to take that risk.
I just want to leave one message with the parents. We always look at our kids and we say, oh, I want my kid to be a doctor or a nurse or whatever. And that's fine and it's beautiful. But you might want to ask them what they want to be. And when they say they want to be something, let's say they say they want to be a nurse, and your daughter or son is, they're squeamish when it comes to blood. Do not tell them, oh, you can't be a nurse because you're you're scared of blood, or just say, wow, there's so many different parts of the industry. Let me show you. And you go to the internet and you sit together. That's family time right there. And you let them adventure and venture into their imagination of what their lives can be, and just encourage and be that support that they need at that time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. And so everyone goes to struggles, that's a
Yeah,
guarantee. But
very much.
overcoming it, let's surround ourselves with people and stories that overcome, just like your
Yeah,
story, Hilary. Let's remember that we can overcome, that we're going to be okay, and no matter what. And let's instill that into our kids, that they're
yes,
overcomers. And so I'm
yes,
hoping that the parents out there can understand how powerful what they say uh,
yes,
is to their children. Uh, I thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. I mean, from losing your mom at a young age, from feeling that insecurity, from going, and being abused in different relationships or being in abusive relationships, and
mhm,
overcoming because that voice just kept telling you were going to be okay, and
yeah,
and it just resonated with you, and I pray that we all touch the lives of our children with our voice, with
mhm,
that one thing that we have that doesn't cost anything but our voice to empower them, to help them to believe in themselves, and the
yes.
repetition of it. uh, Thank you, Hilary. I wish you great success. And I'm inspired by your story that you can overcome so much, and turn your life around, and in
Mhm.
turn have great kids and be so proud of them and feel so blessed
Yeah,
because of them. I
thank
pray that
you.
that's what the parents that are listening, that that's what they have also, or they will have, because they choose to speak life into their children with their words. So thank you so much, Hilary.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for joining us on Parents Make a Difference.
Thank you for having me.